There is a way to look at them, as you said, to utilize them to enhance your life, enhance what you're doing, to take those skills, talents, and look at them through that lens so that you're actually maximizing.
I don't even know what life looks like without me being responsible for other humans.
Hello, and welcome back to the Oracle on Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Leah Dunlap. And this is a space for entrepreneurs, founders, and holistic practitioners who are looking to scale their businesses, but maybe looking at a journey that is overwhelming, stressed out, and unclear. So we're here to help you find both inspiration, insight, and possibly a tip or two that will help you on your journey to become the seven-figure founder you've been dreaming of. And I'm really excited today because my special guest today is Tracy O'Malley. Now, what I love about this guest today is that she is a heart-led transformational guide who has spent more than a decade using the Enneagram. And as it is a powerful tool, and we've talked about this for a moment now, I also know that even in my own gifts and talents, I found myself overwhelmed by the Enneagram. And so I love that you're using that, not just, as most people would think, like just as a divining tool per se, right, but in a real structured way in both people's strategies and their businesses. So I want you to tell us a little bit more about what exactly you do that makes it so different.
Gosh, I had been introduced to the Enneagram, like I told you a little bit ago before we hit record. I came into it kicking and screaming. I was not one of those like, oh my gosh, show me the Enneagram, like, woo, and like, no. My therapist, Nancy, was like, girl, do this. And I'm like, respectfully, Nancy, go F yourself. I don't need a personality test. I need help with my stuff. And she just didn't miss a beat. And she's like, my dear, your best thinking has gotten you here. And this might actually help you get out of the box that not only you've put yourself in, but the world has also put you in. So how about you humble yourself a little bit and open up your mind? And I was like, Nancy's got a point. And she was the first that wasn't really rattled by my intensity. And it wasn't a conscious test, but it kind of was. So anyway, I dive in, and within minutes, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I've understood kind of what I'm reading here, but it felt a little all over the place. So it kind of operates in my interpretation of it, just like anything, it's left to your interpretation. Right. And as a little girl, I was somebody who read the Atlas. I'm a 1970s baby, back when we didn't have GPS.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right? Yes, like the Gen X crowd, shout out to you. Like, we actually had to know how to read a map.
We had to look at things, look them up, actually, yes.
Card catalogs,
Oh my goodness, there we go.
Encyclopedias. But I used to lay on the floor and read the Atlas. And my family used to make fun of me. My dad's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I really had this deep yearning desire to understand how we get from here to there and how to get the hell out of here. Because here was not a very healthy place. And so when the Enneagram was introduced to me, I was like, oh, this just reads like an atlas, right? Like, you have your home base. We have our home base. It's where our core fears, our core motives live, but we do venture out. And we go on adventures, and sometimes we go off-roading, and sometimes we take a scenic route, and all of it is important. And that's my interpretation of how the Enneagram really can operate in your life. It's an atlas, right? And there's elements of it that serve like a compass, and then other parts of it that serve like your shotgun riders and your ride or die, your Thelma or your Louise, whatever. Like, you just got to know what to do with it. And most importantly, how to meet yourself with that compassion, kindness, and curiosity if you're going to use this. Because a lot of times when we go on this excavation or exploration process of understanding ourselves, we usually have the whipping stick of shame.
Right.
And the Enneagram can serve that way too if you go into it with that intent. But my goal with the Atlas of the Enneagram is to meet yourself with such kindness, curiosity, and compassion. because that's where transformation happens.
Absolutely. I think it's so important. And I think, first of all, side note, if you weren't paying attention, back up, listen to that again, because probably the cleanest, clearest example and explanation of the Enneagram I've ever heard, honestly.
Thank you.
I want to say that to you because it always feels like, I feel like I'm pretty intelligent, but it always seems like it goes over my head.
Well, it's funny because I usually hate when somebody asks me, what's the Enneagram? I'm like, you're not going to like this answer.
But the thing about that is I think that the other part that I want to tap into is you said, like, this is not, it's a tool.
Yeah.
And it's not something that's meant to limit you. And
Ever.
I find that one of the challenges I've run into in my business over the last 30 years is when people find these tests or these, they become, basically an ankle, bracelet, shackled to this idea that this is exactly who I am. There's no room for interpretation. There's no room for expansion or growth, or to utilize it as a tool, like you said, to do more and be more and travel in this amazing universal world that we're in.
Yeah, it gives you range.
Yeah, it
so
gives
much
you
range.
so much more. Yeah,
the impact I'm able to make, not just with my family and my home team, but professionally, and like the range I have today with my understanding of this, like unleashed everything that I was supposed to be before life kicked my ass a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let's talk about that since you brought it up.
The ass kicking? I got
because,
lots.
most of the founders that we're here listening to us are going to be people that have had that kind of journey. And that's part of the journey too, I think.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about where that happened. And maybe now I'm curious to reflect on knowing what you know now.
Yeah.
Like in that journey, in that part, where did that play? Where did your Enneagram components play in that journey?
From the start.
Yeah.
Like even my birth story is that of a warrior, which my Enneagram type is the challenger. Like I always have pushed against the norm, not to just fight for fighting's sake. Is like my calling, even in past lives, I know was like this warrior kind of champion for others to blaze trails that were different, question authority for all the right reasons, and even like coming into the world, like my mom's water broke when she was 7 months pregnant in 1972. Wow. That's a big deal, right? Like 'cause they don't have all the things they have today. And the fact that I was not coming out. I didn't care that the water was breaking. I'm certainly not an Aquarius by any means, which is when I would have been born had, she delivered at that time. And the fact that sac sealed itself up and I went to full term and was born the Aries that I am, and came after 36 hours of labor. Like nobody was going to tell me what to do. Yeah. And then I'm dropped into a very passionate Irish family with addiction and alcoholism at the forefront, going toe to toe with the man that I loved more than anything, but also like finding that balance and that harmony between like holding my ground, standing authority, but also like not wanting to rock the boat. And I think that's where a lot of my frustrations came in. Like I felt like a caged animal, but also he was my greatest teacher in a lot of ways. And of course, like when you bury that resentment, some of these challenging ways of myself really didn't always come out effectively in a way that served me or other people. I left a lot of wreckage. I hurt people, not always intentionally, but didn't really care that I did. It's like, well, you can't handle me, too bad. Yeah. Which is what a lot of people do with the Enneagram. It's like, this is who I am.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. It gets to be this like get out of jail free card, if you will. Right.
And that's when like the timing of this whole thing coming into my life, had it come into my life any sooner, that is exactly how I would have used it. I would have used it to control, to manipulate, to justify all the things. And just the humbling moment of my life, it was ironically 6 weeks after my father died, after a 12-day cancer diagnosis. I had just turned 40, divorce, recession, teenager, single mom, and like I was on my knees, like saying, I need help here. And I had a dysfunctional relationship with food, alcohol, anger, you name it, but drugs. And I was just so humbled enough that when the student is ready, the teacher and tools appear. And I was like, it was definitely a divine appointment that this wasn't introduced to me sooner, because I absolutely would have weaponized it. No question about it. Yeah. To protect.
Well, right. Because that's the truth. Like
totally the truth.
Any of our are tactics,
Yeah.
right? They're always based in the idea that they're somehow keeping us safe.
100%.
And so I think it's important to know that too, for people that are looking at these tools and resources, that there is a way to look at them, as you said, to utilize them to enhance your life, enhance what you're doing, to take those skills, talents, and look at them through that lens so that you're actually maximizing, right? What your output is, but also in an aligned way.
You know what's cool is like when I was reading about the Enneagram day one with Nancy, you know, full transparency, I was in rehab day 2 when this was introduced to me, and I remember reading it and realizing like the permission it gave me to be exactly who I am. However, you know, it isn't coming from that audacious like, this is who the hell I am, like deal with it. It was more like, this is who I am, and I'm responsible for the come from that is that, right? Like, so my superpowers are only my superpowers when it's coming from the love, compassion, empathy, service, grace, fun, innocence. That same thing that are my superpowers becomes the kryptonite and the wreckage in my life if it's coming from fear, insecurity, unworthiness, shame, guilt, ego, any of those things. So like, yes, I am who I am, and also I'm very responsible for the come from. And if it's not coming from the love space, then I have to be responsible for that.
Right. And I think that, you know, to me, there's the idea that everything, like every tool is a double-bladed sword.
1,000,000%.
It can really cut through a lot of the stuff.
I mean,
right? Or it can cut down a lot of the growth.
I say that all the time. Like a chainsaw is a tool, can do mighty things, and also it's slasher movie like things. Right. The Bible, a beautiful tool when used in integrity with beautiful intent, and we see it weaponized all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Enneagram's no different. So beautiful intent in integrity, these tools are magical.
So let's share with our audience a little bit about if they're dabbling, if they're curious, if they're Enneagram curious out there.
Yeah.
You know, what are some of the specific ways that you help your clients or people that you work with take that information and use it in their business?
I think a lot of times, to your point, like people figure out what they are, which, you know, that's the problem with the Enneagram. It's not like human design or astrology or any of these other tools, like give me your birth date and your, you know, where you were born and all the things. It's like not like that.
Yeah.
This kind of takes who you are divinely wired to be, and then also how that affects how you're dropped into the world and how you express that, right? And so a lot of times these online assessments, even the paid ones, are inaccurate about 65 to 70% of the time. So you can imagine if this is an atlas and you have the wrong coordinates, you're going to go in the wrong direction, and it really doesn't help you.
Yes.
Right. So I am masterful at really seeing what's the real. So that's first and foremost. Having the right information will then really make this a lot easier. And then from there, I'm like, I don't want you to focus on your core type, like, because you do that in your sleep. Like, let's look at the components that give you the range, that when, you know, shit's going sideways in your life, like you can actually use these as practice tools rather than like the emergency brake. And like I had to learn this in crisis. I don't recommend that.
Right.
And so a lot of times I teach the people the other components that are attached to them, not their go-to defense mechanism, not their go-to kind of order of operation. Like, let's give you range. Because if you are raising your hand saying, I want to be the best version of myself, which anybody that comes into my vortex absolutely does, then you are going to be stretched, and to whom much is given, much is required. So how about you start building these muscles and flexing them before all hell's breaking loose.
Right.
And so that's where I usually spend a lot of the work, is within the components attached to your Enneagram type, not just that.
What if you could tap into the law of attraction with precision and power on your terms? I'm Leah Dunlap, and in my audiobook, Power Up the Law of Attraction, I give you the no-fluff blueprint to create a life of purpose, prosperity, and peace. Ready to stop manifesting by accident and start creating with intention? Download Power Up the Law of Attraction now on Audible. Now, back to the show.
And that's so powerful, because I think that the idea of being intentional, but also proactive.
Yeah.
Right. To be better understanding of the power that you hold. Right. I think that's part of what this is understanding our own authentic power. And I love what you said about, being dropped into this space and the journey that we've claimed for ourselves, which a lot of times I think that's what I help my clients do is understand their unique life purpose based on that. Like, you're here. There's a 1 in 400 quadrillion chance that you exist.
I know.
1 in 400, that's 4 with, a Q, quadrillion. And that's not an accident. And so let's enjoy that. Like, let's explore that. As you said, let's take that trip.
The journey's great.
Where will this go? Yeah.
Even the ass kickings. Like, I'm not, like I was saying today, like, I'm not a fan of the process when I'm in it sometimes, but the product of the ass kicking usually is something required for the calling that's on your life, for you to have more compassion for other people and for yourself, for you to be the effective guide that you're here to be, whether it's in your home team or your professional teams. Like, all of it matters for something. And I remember when I was 9 years old, like that very clear divine moment happened to me. I was on my bike traveling from church to church, trying to figure out, again, reading the atlas, like, how the hell do I get out of here? Like, it was so crazy, and it was raining in the Chicago area, and I stepped into this church, and I was like, I don't even know why I'm here, but like, I know why I'm here. And it was very clear that the divine was saying to me, this is all going to matter for something much bigger than you even know. Just stay here, stay in it. Don't give up. I know it's hard. And so the ass kicking continued for the next 30 years, and I was here for it. So, it's the beauty of being the age that we are is, we have the receipts to show that even though the process isn't always fun, the receipts really do have paid dividends over
Absolutely.
and over.
And I think that's the beauty of our own personal history.
Yeah.
But our history is so long. Like the idea that we've dropped in here, not from an unknown place, but from a continuation of where we've been before.
Right.
And so what a beautiful gift when we look at it from that perspective of, like, this is a playground. Like, I love your image of the atlas. Like, this is a playground. That map you were looking at as a small child, like, you saw the beauty of that. And, this is the time in our call where we give you the chance to get a little insight for yourself. But I'm curious before we do that, like, what's next on Tracy O'Malley's horizon? Like, where is the next adventure for you?
Gosh, it's like I'm at that age where it's like the Saturn returns happening, and, into menopause, and my kids are older, and I've got one getting married this year, and the empty nest thing. It's like, I don't even know what life looks like without me being responsible for other humans. Growing up in the alcoholic home, I was, since the age of 4, taking care of people. And then I basically was a child bride and had young, kids when I was young. Like, this is the first time in my life. It's like, what is it that I actually want? And I was saying this morning to my partner, I was like, I've never been able to answer that question of, like, what do I really want?
Great.
I'm on the adventure to figure out what that is. Yeah,
that's great. And so then I get to ask you, like, what would you like as far as insight? What would help you discover that for yourself, do you think?
There's this resistance I have in this very noisy, divisive world right now, that I don't want to be part of the noise. And I also recognize that the real ones need to stand up right now, because the noise is getting louder and louder and louder. And how do we know the difference between the real and the bullshit if the real ones don't stand up? And I've never been afraid to stand up. However, it's like, I don't want to contribute to any more divisiveness, but I also know, like, that's the calling.
Yeah.
And it's time to honor it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that, because earlier when when we began speaking, the Oracle dropped a little nugget as you were talking, and I was like, interesting. And now here it is. And it was that, as you were speaking about your childhood, she's like, of course you're a champion. You're a truth-telling champion.
Yes.
Yeah. And she's like, it's time to, like, honor that's who you are. That this truth-telling champion, that here's the other thing, noting that another moment you just said, like, this idea of divisiveness. The purest song drowns out all noise.
Thank you for that. I love that.
So this idea that your truth is actually not a weapon.
Thank you.
But a gift.
I love that. The purest song drowns out the noise.
Yeah.
Or
drowns out all noise.
All right. I love that. Yeah. I'll take that with me.
Yeah, and then this idea that your truth is somehow a weapon and has been weaponized in the past, and that's the challenge, the inner battle. That this new era for you is to see it as a gift.
And I know it, like from the neck up, I know it. Yeah. But from the neck down, that little girl is like, girl, like don't.
It didn't work that way. It didn't. She's right. But that's the beauty. Now you get to mother yourself in a different way now that you're done mothering everyone else.
I'm the cosmic mother.
Yeah.
I'm sure you already know that. But like that is the calling that's on my life. Not just mothering other people in lives before, lives now, but also especially me.
Remothering self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nurturing myself the way that I nurture others so freely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being open to receive some insight. And I hope that helps you continue to be that truth telling. This is great because I know there's clients out there that always tease me that I don't like to curse very much, except when it's appropriate. But
with this girl, it's appropriate.
I was like, and continue to be the truth telling badass that you are.
Thank you.
Right?
I appreciate that.
That's that emblematic essence of who you are.
Yeah.
Isn't a bad thing. I think that's to her. Like, it's not a bad thing. It's the best thing.
It is the best
and
thing.
It is truly what you're being called to do more of.
Awesome.
Now.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. How can people find out more about the incredible work you're doing in the world and what you're up to next?
Yeah, especially to your point about the Enneagram being complex. It isn't complicated, but it is complex. I have a podcast called The Enneagram Edge, almost 500 episodes. You can dive in and dabble there. My website's tracyo'malley.com. And on Instagram, Tracy_O'Malley, if you like to do the Instagram thing.
And I definitely agree that you should go and find out more. And whether that's all 500 episodes or not.
Yeah.
From what you've said, I really believe that if you're ready, follow Tracy O'Malley, dig in, because I think that she'll give you the real.
I'll speak the truth. You may not always like it, but
give you real talk, and I love real talk. So for all of you watching, thank you so much for watching us again. If you can and you want to, please subscribe below and make sure that you come back, because we're going to have more great guests this year, and we are excited to share them with you so that you can live the limitless life of purpose and prosperity that you deserve. Again, I'm Leah Dunlap. This is the Oracle on Purpose podcast, and we'll see you next time.